You are absolutely, positively not going to want to move to Whitby unless you can handle these pretty big negatives. Well, they're not all negatives and it's not a game changer for a lot of people, but these are points to consider if you are looking to move here, and we're getting into it right after this. Hey, what's going on? It's Brad Goetz and I'm a local realtor here in the Durham region. I currently live in Whitby. I've lived here for 2 years, and before this I lived in Oshawa. Before that, back to 2011, I lived in Brampton. So I lived in Brampton my whole life. I moved here, and so I had to learn what it was like to actually live here. There was nothing on YouTube when I did move, so it was just learning through trial and error. And a lot of the points that I cover throughout my videos are some of the pain points that I have faced while living here. And so I just like to shed light on it for people so that if you're looking to move here, at least by watching my videos and doing your own research, you become more familiar with the area as a whole to let you know if it's the right move for you. I have people reaching out to me from all over the world, and I absolutely love it. So if you are looking to move here, all you got to do is call, text, email. You can send the carrier pigeon, whatever is easiest for you, and I'm here to make the move and relocation go so much easier. Again, this video just has to do with my experiences and the things that I don't like about Whitby. Some of them are changing, some of them hopefully they will change at some point, and we're getting into it right now. So the first point has to do with the nightlife, and so pretty much Whitby does not have a nightlife. I get asked quite a bit on the different comments on my videos, young professional looking to move there, get out, meet people, how do you do that? Whitby doesn't necessarily have many places. There are a few bars or restaurants that could be open late, but in terms of if you're comparing it to like downtown Toronto, where it's like the city that never sleeps, Whitby is not quite like that. You will notice after about 11, 12 o'clock, there's not many options for you to go to. If it's a Friday, Saturday, it might be different because the bars and such are a little bit more open later. With Oshawa and how it's turned into a lot of college, university students there, you're starting to notice that there's bars and little clubs and like gastropubs, stuff like that, where it's different options. But outside of that, there's not a whole ton. So if you are looking to move here, one thing to consider is that it's a city that kind of closes relatively early. So you don't have many options later on in the evening if you are looking to get out and meet people. The second point has to do with takeout closing early. And this is something that, as of the last few months, with a pregnant wife who at the time of filming this video is 36 weeks pregnant. So for those who have had children, pretty much from due date, we're about 4 weeks out. So we have late night cravings. She's hungry, she doesn't know what she wants. And so we're relying on me running out to grab stuff or Uber Eats, stuff like that. And one thing that's been really difficult is things closing early. So if it's 11, 12 o'clock, there hasn't been much options. So it's been a lot of McDonald's, Osmos, that's another one for the shawarmas that's kind of open late and they do deliver. So it makes it a lot easier. But that's the one thing that is something that I've never really liked about Durham region is if you're hungry and it's late, you do not have a lot of options. Again, if it's a Friday, Saturday, might be a little bit different. Things are open a little bit later, but still your huge selection that you might be used to depending on where you're living now, you don't have that. And that's one thing with Whitby that hopefully it changes. But I guess they're restaurants that are closing earlier during the week and stuff. It's for a reason. It's just because perhaps it's just not busy enough for them to stay open. So if you're looking to move here and you're pregnant, it's going to be challenging if you do get those late night cravings because your options are going to be really restricted. The next negative, which is something that I kind of learned before we moved to Whitby, and it was just done through our research when we were looking at the programs for our kids to get into, was the rec programs in Whitby seem to be a little bit more expensive than their neighboring cities. So like Oshawa, for instance, and Ajax. So the example I'll prove is the swimming classes. So if you're just going to look at having your kids going to swimming, and this is just one example, the cost for that, and it's kind of showing up on the screen right now, you'll see what the cost per lesson for Oshawa is, and then what the cost per lesson for Whitby is, and then what the cost per lesson for Ajax would be. And you'll see that it is a little bit different in Whitby, a little bit higher. What made us realize this when we were looking for, it's like a preschool program that's run at the rec center it was ran in Oshawa, and that's where we did it. And skating lessons, where we noticed that it was like $100 difference at that time. I tried pulling that to be able to show, but because the programs were full, they don't show the pricing for those programs, so I wasn't able to show the exact example. But 2 years ago, when we were moving to Whitby and we were doing our research in terms of the programs for our kids to get into, that's something that we noticed. So to this day, our kids are doing all of their programs in Oshawa. So the Ready Set School, which is a program ran for 3 to 5 year olds that are going to be going to school. It's a 2-hour program twice a week. So my son goes to that, my daughter went to that, and to this day we would go through the Oshawa program for skating. We go through the Oshawa programs as well. There was a really good skating program that was actually ran at the Tribute Center, which is where the Oshawa Generals play, and it's a non-parented type class, and they did an amazing job. I know it was more expensive than the city ran programs, but we were really impressed with it. I'll give a link to the bottom down there so that if you're looking to get your kids into skating lessons, this is a great program that can really help with that. Again, I'm not getting paid to say that. It's just me sharing something that I was impressed with, that my kids kind of went through, and it just really helped them to the point where they really enjoyed skating, and it was just really good to see. Our fourth point, and I haven't been counting on all of the points, but it has to do with there's no real mall in Whitby. So there's a little bit of a mall that's at Thixon and Dundas. It's in by McDonald's, Toys R Us, that kind of area. But it's never anywhere that we go because it just doesn't have many stores. There's a DMV in there, so we do go there when we need to get license plate stickers. Well, those aren't being done anymore, but like driver's license, passport, that kind of stuff, they do have the government offices there for that. But outside of that, we don't really go to that mall at all. We still go to the Oshawa Center, which is about 15 minutes from our house. If we don't like the Oshawa Center for that particular day, which has never happened, then we do have Pickering Town Center. So Whitby is kind of in the middle of Pickering Town Center and the Oshawa Center, which are two really good malls that we have as options, but Whitby does not have this big downtown that people can, not downtown, they do not have this big mall that people can go to if they just needed to go for Christmas shopping or anything that they would need a large mall for. Whitby does not have that. They do have large shopping centers, but they're all, you park and then you go into individual type stores, and that's along like the Taunton corridor or the Dundas corridor, like in and around those areas. But again, no real mall, so that's a pain point that, hopefully Whitby does get a big mall, but I doubt it because you have Oshawa Center, which is close, Pickering Town Center, which is close. I can't see them bringing in a second or third big mall to the Durham region. The next pain point that I've kind of gone through is Whitby does not have its own hospital. They did, and it was in Whitby Shores, so it was down the south end close to Lake Ontario. But like many, many, many years ago, that was actually transitioned more into a special needs type hospital. So you went there for diabetes, for instance. I know that because my wife, gestational diabetes, that's kind of where we've been going for her diabetes appointments. Hopefully baby comes out, diabetes is gone. But so it's kind of like those things that you would go there for, but delivering the baby, we're not going there. If we needed to go to Emerge, we're not going there. We are going to Lakeridge Health, which is the Oshawa Hospital. But there's actually big news in related to this point because it was just announced a couple of months ago that Whitby is actually getting their own hospital, which is really good because now in the area like Whitby, they do have a hospital that you can go to. It's going to be strategically kind of placed on the north section of Whitby, close to the 412, 407, which is pretty much by Brooklyn. So they do have a chunk of land there that's owned by the Ministry of Transportation that is being assigned to the hospital. That's based on the news articles, everything I've been reading. So that could change. I doubt it, but that's kind of the land that's been assigned for this hospital. Hopefully that's where it does get built, but things do change. And at the time of the recording, this is kind of the plan for where the hospital is going to be going. The sixth negative about Whitby has to do with, it kind of feels like Whitby doesn't have its own identity. It's placed between Oshawa and Ajax, and a lot of more people know about Oshawa and Ajax opposed to Whitby. Whitby is kind of like, and if you're from the Peel region, you'll kind of get this reference, Brampton and Bramalea. Bramalea, it used to be separate from Brampton, and then it just kind of became an area within Brampton. And with Whitby, you kind of feel that same thing where it's in the middle between two larger cities and more well-known cities. So it's just kind of like you're in Whitby, and although a lot of people know about Whitby, there's a lot of people that don't, especially if you go on YouTube or Google and you type in Whitby, it's going to bring you to Whitby, UK. And I learned that when I was doing a lot of my research on doing these videos, just to see what I was up against. And I saw that there was an actual Whitby, UK. I'm sure this is all going to change once Whitby becomes more established, more building is happening here. So the growth is here to make it its own identity. They are bringing in a hospital, which will help as well. So that's really good signs to hopefully have it switch. But for now, it's just kind of like you feel like you're in the middle between Oshawa, Ajax. And we spend a lot of time going to Oshawa just for the mall, the hospital, kids' school programs. They go to school in Whitby, but a lot of the extracurricular activities that we do with them is done at Oshawa. Our final point has to do with house prices and property tax. So Durham region as a whole has a high tax rate, and Whitby, although the percentage is lower than what it is in Oshawa, because the MPAC evaluates the Whitby homes as being more expensive, the property taxes are relatively high. To look at properties and see that there's property tax of $8, $9, $10, $15,000 a year, just goes to show that the property tax in Whitby is pretty high. And then also the house prices. If you're going to compare Ajax, Whitby, and Oshawa, Oshawa would be on the lower side in terms of house prices. And then Whitby and Ajax are pretty close to each other. Considering you're that much further from Toronto, you would think that Whitby would be a little cheaper. And it used to be, but I feel like with how the market's been crazy for the last 2 years, the house prices in Whitby, because it was just a little bit further than Ajax, did creep up a little bit. So now you're seeing houses that you would see in Ajax go for $200,000 more are only going for a little bit more, if not similar pricing. And so that's just people's preference in terms of being able to afford more in Whitby, which has just boosted up the prices a little bit. Hopefully the video was useful for you and you did get stuff out of it, maybe things that you weren't thinking about before watching this video. If you did, be sure to drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think. If you want to throw hate at the video, by all means, put it in the comments. Video interaction, whether it's thumbs down, thumbs up, subscribing, liking, it does help the video, puts it in front of other people, and it lets me know that people are enjoying what they're putting out there, or they're not. And if you have video ideas that I can do, be sure to put those in the comments as well, because I do go through the comments. I do try and respond to them as best I can. Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer, but I do get around to not subscribing. I want you to subscribe, but I do get around to commenting on all of the comments that you've kind of provided. So if you have video ideas, drop it below. If you're looking to move here, you've got the videos, but all you have to do if you want me to actually help you move here is call, text, email. You can send the carrier pigeon, whatever is easiest for you. And I'm here to make your move and relocation go so much easier. I've helped so many people move here, and I absolutely love it. To be honest, I was so shocked with how many people are moving to the Whitby area. That is just, I love it. So if you're looking to move here, reach out. I have other videos. You can watch those as well, and it will just help you become a little bit more familiar with Whitby. Thanks for watching, and until next time.